Okay, welcome everybody to a grammar lesson. Today we're looking at modal verbs and I'm trying to give you a whole overview today of everything to do with modal verbs, and that's why there's a lot of information on the board. Now, I have taught modal verbs, or let me rephrase that, I have been teaching modal verbs for about 20 years. And every time you teach it, you realise how there are more complications than you thought at first. And today we'll be looking in particular at will and should in speculation and deduction, because I don't think I've spoken much about those before. But let's start with obligation, no obligation, advice and criticism, and against the law and rules, because I consider these ones a little bit different from what we're going to be doing over here, which is speculation and deduction. So try to separate 1 and 2 from 3, which is all there. Now let's start with obligation. Must, have to, have got to, need to, all of these express an obligation, but they all work differently in terms of grammar. For a start, have to and have got to and need to are not actually modal verbs. Why? Because you say, I have, he has. I have, he has. I need, he needs. But you don't say, I must, he musts. Yeah? You don't put an S on the end of must in the he form, which means that must is 100% a modal verb, and these guys are not really. Yeah? Modal verbs have no infinitive, no participle, no gerund. You never say to must, and you never say he musts. That's what modal verbs are. They're different from other verbs in that sense. Yeah, and so let's kick off with what a modal verb is. Yeah, a modal verb is something that never changes. You never say he cans, you never say canning, you never say mighting, musting, maying. Yeah, you don't use them as participles or gerunds or anything else. They've only got one form, must, and if we look at some of the other ones, should. Yeah, you don't say he shoulds. And the same for any other full modal verb like may or might or will. Will is a modal verb. You don't say he wills. Well, there are one or two